Hello, everybody, and welcome to Taking Control, the ADHD podcast on Rash Pixel FM. I'm Pete Wright, and I am here with Nikki Kinzer.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Pete.
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Actually, it'll be Tuesday when people hear this. So happy Tuesday.
That's right. It is Happy Tuesday. We are doing this whole podcast thing. We are talking today about routines, and I'm telling you, I saw that you wanted to talk about routines. And I thought, what a fantastic topic. How do you deal with routines when both nothing is routine and everything is? And the word routine just exploded in my head with all of the different sorts of emotional attachments I have to routine. And
I think you're not the only one. I think that routines, and I think that word in general is probably a pretty dirty word in a lot of people's vocabulary, just because there is so much attached to it, especially emotionally and past experiences and everything else. So
truly.
Yeah.
Well, so I'm excited to talk about this and talk about some of the feedback that we've got from our fantastic community online. They've been highly participatory in this conversation. It sounds like a lot of people are dealing with this stuff. So this is going to be great. Before we dig in, however, head over to TakeControlADHD.com. You can get to know us a little bit better. You can listen to the show right there on the website or subscribe to the mailing list, and we will send you an email each time a new episode is released. And in this time, if you find yourself struggling with how to make it through the day, how to make it through your own routines, you might consider checking out the ADHD community. To access the community, the easiest way to do that is just become a patron at patreon.com/the ADHD podcast. And you'll get access to happy hours where you can come hang out with me and Nikki. You'll get access to happy hours when you could just hang out with each other. The community is starting all kinds of fancy happy hours. Even better, you'll get access to the accountability group. And the accountability group has really taken off with our study halls where if you just need an accountability buddy to come hang out with you and to help you focus and get stuff done, if you're ready to start working in sprints and start accomplishing things that you have on your list, if you want somebody to help you focus to get work done, we have all kinds of study halls that are going on. At any given moment, there is probably a study hall that you could jump into.
And a lot more lately than there has been, because I think people are really relying on that, which we will actually talk about in the show.
Fantastic. So we're going to talk all about that. And it is just become a cherished part of this podcast, is the group that goes along with it. And, not going to lie to you, the monetary support that comes from this listener-supported podcast at patreon.com/the ADHD podcast. Your monetary support helps us continue to grow this show, continue to research, continue to do new things. In fact, the transcripts that you get as a result or a direct result of our patrons. And that is thanks to you all who have decided to become members that we're able to do that. And we have more things on the way as we continue to grow and help subsidize the work that we do here. So thank you, everybody. Again, patreon.com/the ADHD podcast. We hope to see you over there. Routines, Nikki Kinzer.
Yes.
Talk about where this came from.
Well, lots of inspiration in the last few weeks because, everybody has had to really redesign the routine that they were used to, right? With the shelters in place and having kids at home and working from home and having kids at home. I mean, everything has just changed for so many people. And I have noticed that almost all of my conversations with clients have been around how to create a new routine at home. And if anything, at least adjusting to the existing one. And, all of the old rules really don't apply right now. So we have to figure out what those new rules are. What does a person need? Because it's interesting because my clients, all of them come from such a diverse background. And so there's some who are living by themselves, who are working from home. There's some who have young children and they're working from home, or they are just dealing with having the children home. And then, you've got the professionals who are some of them are still working from home, but now they have to be their student's teacher. Some people have been laid off. I mean, the whole thing is just, everybody is in a different situation, but we're all dealing with kind of the same thing of having our routines just be blown up.
Blown up in new and different ways every single week, right?
Right.
There's so much change happening every week, whether, as we go on a month or more with the stay-at-home orders, I think we're seeing more and more people feeling a different kind of pain every week.
Well, and I'll tell you the biggest pain that I'm seeing right now, and it's different than a couple of weeks ago, because a couple of weeks ago, it was all about the coronavirus and the numbers and where it was spreading. And there was always this new information every day, right? About something that was going to be put in place. And what I'm finding now is that there's less of that, because we all kind of have had to accept that this is where we are. It is the unknown of not being able to plan anything. It's the fear of, we don't know when this is going to be over. Like, we understand what's going on, but we don't know when it's going to be over. And so you can't make any plans. You can't think about the summer. We don't know if our students are going to be going back to school in the fall in a building. There's so much unknown. It drives me crazy.
Yeah.
And it's driving my clients crazy, because they're depending on me to help them plan, and we have nothing that we can even work with. So it's just really kind of dealing with the day to day and the week to week.
How at some point, I feel like you realize that I can only plan that which I can control, and I know that like my foresight is no longer 3 months down the road. It might be 3 days.
Yes,
but it feels to me like once I get to the point. And it's taken a month,
right?
Right? It's taken a month. But once I get to that point of acceptance and not denial, it becomes easier to establish some even short run patterns. It becomes easier to accept that I can control tomorrow. I can control later today. I can even control this week.
Yes.
And so I'm wondering, like, what is it that helps make that transition from the oh my God, I can't control anything and it's making me crazy, to, you know what, I have to grab what I can, whatever I can.
And I'm glad you bring that up, because I think that's really where we're going to start with talking about routines. And this is something else I've been noticing with clients and people that I've been talking to, is that you do kind of fall into a routine naturally. Mm-hmm. And what I'm finding is that it makes people feel better, right? So where people were 2 or 3 weeks ago is not the same as where they are right now. They're a lot. I think they're more calm. They're a little bit more sure that they can get through this. A lot of my college students are actually really doing well. Like they've adjusted really well. But
I want to stop you there. What is it, do you think, that helps your college students adapt? What is it that makes them equipped? That we might be able to learn from?
Because I had a Zoom call yesterday with some family, and my nephew is a student at Colorado, where you went to school, Boulder, and he hates it. He was like, I hate it. It's the worst thing ever. It's, so you got that end where he absolutely hated it, but, and he has ADHD as well. I think that part of the fear that I was seeing with my students is that when it switched from going to campus and going to online, there was a fear of the routine being lost. They had already had a habit. They already had transition time built in. They already knew when they were going to study. And, fortunately, most of the students that I was working with or are working with were doing really well. They had really strong semesters. And so they were scared too that all of a sudden these good grades were going to go down because they couldn't adjust to the online. But what they found is that after about a week or so, they actually, with my help, because it was something that we had to talk about, they were okay with having recorded lectures rather than live lectures. And what we would do when we work together is making sure that everything is being done within that week. So even though there was some flexibility of when they could do the lecture, they're accountable to me to make sure that everything's getting done and taken care of. So they did have some accountability in place. And as a coach, of course, I'm helping them plan and doing that, but it's within the week, right? So they just felt like, okay, I can do this. This isn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. In fact, the hardest transition, I think, for a lot of them is moving back home.
Yeah.
Because they're used to being on their own and now they're with mom and dad.
Right. Dealing with the change in just freedoms and liberties and privacy and space. Yeah. I think I think that's a really important thing to note, right? That the thing that equips college students is the frequency or the volume of short-term anchors, right? Assignments, discussions, papers, tests that are now, I think, they're building some new sort of, we'll say routines, but they're able to keep those in view. Right. And I think we can learn from that. For those of us who are not in college, like establishing the short term, like canonizing the short term goals can help us, sort of keep a weather eye on the horizon,
I am so glad you said that, because I think that anchors is a good way of saying it. I say bookends. I like to have, like, when I start talking to somebody about their schedule for the day, let's talk about the bookends. When do you want to get up in the morning and when do you want to go to bed at night? And then let's talk about what happens in the middle. And if you can have some kind of structure, and it's got to be realistic. So I think we talked about this last week. Now is not necessarily the time to be the most productive that you have ever been, right? So be realistic. Set 2 to 3 goals that you want to get done that day. And if you can, think about, okay, I want to get up at this time. I'm going to take a shower. I'm going to stick to kind of this routine that I had before. I know I need to be able to do these 2 to 3 things. Try to add like where you're going to exercise. Because once you start doing this, you'll see a routine. So I had a person that I work with who's in Florida and she's by herself. So she has on just a piece of paper Monday through Sunday. And, she has her AM walk. She has to run an errand to the pharmacy. She has to plan the week. This is on Monday. Write out the deadlines for the week, finish her proposal, do discussion questions. She's going to have a walk. She's going to work out and her day's done. And then on Tuesday, she has an AM walk. That, so she has her AM walk, her PM walk, her workout. All of those things are set in stone. And those are those anchors. And then in the middle of the day, you can figure out, okay, a couple hours or whatever. Now, I know some people have to work an 8-hour day, but if that's the case, that's even better. Because then you try to stick to your regular routine, but instead of going to the office, you are going into your own office. I had another client today who said, before I went to work, and I loved that she said that.
Yeah.
Because she was able to separate that this is what I'm doing right now, and then I'm going to work, which happens to be in a different room.
This is conditioning, right? It's not conditioning necessarily your family. It's conditioning yourself. That there is a reality that I exist in. And just because I'm here, place does not always have to define identity. Just because I'm at home doesn't mean I'm not at work.
And all we're doing is giving you somewhat of a guide, because I think that one of the most frustrating things that when we don't have a routine is we don't know what to do and we're scrambling and we end up working on the wrong things, or we don't do anything and then we get mad about that too, right? So there's a lot of what it does is it just sets a precedence for the day of what, possibly could get done with being flexible. And it's not about just the to-do list. It's not about just, crossing things off. It's all it is it's a guide. So don't get mad at yourself if you didn't get everything done on that list.
Right. I think that's really important. I feel like those anchors or those bookends, they actually, they don't just put a stake in the ground for just a reality check. They pull you forward to the next thing. Right. And I think that's important for me too. It's just this idea that there is a sense of momentum in my day, of intentionality. And
perfect way to put it.
Yeah, and I'm allowed to just sort of move through the week knowing that I have that I am able to produce and ship. We're like, what did I ship today? And we kind of do that sometimes as our family dinner table, right? What did you ship today? What did you deliver to a teacher? What paper did you write and submit? What podcast did you publish? And we just sort of go around the table and talk about, like, how did you contribute to the world outside of the house?
Yeah.
And
I think it's important with our kids who are in school, because mine just started today. So it's a brand new thing in our house.
Mm-hmm.
But man, I mean, they're looking forward to this. It's like they already now have a, their top of their bookend is that they're going to be in school at 9:00 in the morning, and they will spend their time in school for as long as it takes. And then they'll have homework to do. And it's like, it gives them back that sense of normalcy, even though it's not normal. But I'll tell you, the last month there hasn't been any normal to it. Right. And so at least now they can feel a little bit more connected to what their life is supposed to be right now.
Again, finding those anchors, finding something to ground them. Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, I think that a couple of things too, just to add, is that checklists are really great. Again, just keep them very small. But I think that there's always this, there is just this adrenaline, dopamine hit on crossing something off.
Check marks. Yeah,
we all
totally
feel it. So it's like, gosh, do it. Now's the time to do it. The other thing I want to talk about, and I know we're jumping the gun a little bit, but it's really important, I think, that we talk about accountability, because I'm finding this to be really important. We have it in Discord, and Pete, you had mentioned at the very beginning that there's almost always sometime during the day that our accountability groups are getting together. And I'm hosting a Thursday afternoon accountability study hall as well. And so for people to know what that is for $10 a week, you can come and join my study hall on Thursdays for a 4-hour block. It's 1 to 5 Pacific, and I always get the Eastern wrong. It's 4:00 Eastern to 8:00. We did the first one on last week. It was amazing. We had several people come. I had one person who actually said to me, I thought this was going to be stupid. Like, why do I need to pay to get work done? And she said, but I got more work done in that 4-hour period of time than she has gotten done in so long, and realized how magical it really is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, the service that I do on Thursday afternoons is free for the Supreme members of our Patreon. So that's just another benefit that our Supreme members get. Our Deluxe members do get the community accountability Zoom groups. And if you can't be a part of our community, which is fine, I mean, I just want to have you understand how important it is to have a study group with students. If you can find a couple of other people to study with, make that part of your day. Same thing with anybody that's working or has, even chores. Like I was telling people on Thursday, you don't have to stay at your desk. File paper, clean a kitchen, do whatever you need to do. But there's this magic about having a body double. And I really want to emphasize that, because I think at a time like this, we all need it. And it's so helpful. And I just really want to encourage people to find who their body doubles are.
Well, and if you can't make it to the Thursday, just DM Discord Mom in Discord. She really is behind a lot of the infrastructure that of those study halls in the accountability group at the deluxe level and supreme level alike. And so again, we got a lot of them. But we also encourage if you need one, if you have one, post it in accountability, and people will show up. We found a real kind of I think, speaking of momentum, they sort of take on, it has taken on its own personality. And I just love that those exist.
I can't tell you how much I get done, because I will go do something else. you know, especially if I don't really want to do what I need to do. And so just knowing that they're there, I get stuff done. It's really amazing. So anyway, put that as part of in between the anchors.
Yes. You know, I look at I think it was a Stephen Covey thing, right? Which was the big rocks and the little rocks and then the sand, right? You start with the big rocks in the glass and then you put in the little rocks and they kind of fill in those spaces. And then you can fill in more spaces with sand. And eventually your day can be full, right? Your cup can be full. But if you start out with all the sand, then you can't even fit any big rocks in it, right? If you fill it with sand. So I really like having those anchors, the big rocks in there.
Yeah.
You know, and I wanted to talk a little bit about routines and rituals, right? Because I think that approaching certain routines as ritual is important. It's important for you, your micro community, that might be your family or close friends. If you do regular sort of Zoom happy hours, we've seen people do with their friends and communities that are taking this to new places. And so I just wanted to reflect a little bit on the act of ritual. Right, because I think a lot of people hear the word ritual and they think that it is a spiritual practice, something. It's a church practice. Absolutely, that's it.
Tradition,
but also
like some kind of tradition,
right?
Yeah.
Wikipedia. I just went straight to Wikipedia because it's Wikipedia. A ritual is a sequence of events involving gestures, words, actions, or objects performed in a sequestered place and according to a set sequence. Rituals may be prescribed by the traditions of a community, including a religious community. Rituals are characterized but not defined by formalism, traditionalism, invariance, rule governance, sacral symbolism, and performance. Okay, so you take some of that and think about what you are doing to create the sort of ritual for your own community. And so we were asking folks, what are they doing to build their routines? And some of their responses were particularly, captured in ritual, right? Joseph says, trying to have a Zoom happy hours with different people and taking note of them in my bullet journal so I can remember who I talked to and when. It has a note of ritual to it, of practice, something that is special, that is unique, that is cherished. Tracy said, and last night I pulled up a table into the family room for a different atmosphere. I threw on a tablecloth, pulled up some chairs, turned some music on our Google Home, and ordered food delivery so we could have a restaurant date night.
Oh, I love that.
Again, it's that air of ritual, of something that is special, that is important.
So we started a ritual, my daughter and I, by taking walks after I'm done with work.
There you go.
So at around 5:30 or so, maybe 6, my daughter and I go and take a walk. And I can tell you, we wouldn't have been doing that if it wasn't for where we are right now.
You're creating something that is special. And most important for me, it's something that I miss when we don't have it. And it can be really banal too, right? You can create a ritual out of something that otherwise isn't a ritual for us. I was thinking about it because Discord mom, Melissa, posted a picture of her daily whiteboard. And I loved that so much, that picture in the community. And I think about, our own ritual is preparing the whiteboard for the day or the week. And we do it as a family. And if we miss it, it is missed. Somebody is going to complain that we didn't do it, right? And we missed something. And so I think that's really special. We do 1 week a month, 1 day a week. They all blend together anyway.
I know they really do.
We've taken to doing a DoorDash order for dinner, for a family dinner, and we go all in, and we go to a local restaurant, and they bring it to us, and we eat it together. And we've been spending so much time together that some of our meals have gotten a little bit sloppy. We have things that go on throughout the day. Sometimes 2 of us eat together, 3 of us maybe, and we kind of move in and out of the kitchen.
I tend to do my puzzle while I'm eating.
While you're eating? Okay. See, that's our problem. We do too.
Doing that.
We have our puzzle table is our dining table, and so that's kind of hard.
Too.
So, but I think that I think it's funny that, that one thing, that one sort of DoorDash dinner, whatever it's going to be, like first, we eat out now once a week more than we ever had before, right? That sort of frequency feels good that we're doing something for our local restaurants, our local economy, and we're all sitting together guaranteed. And that has become a thing of ritual. Tonight, it's our local Thai place, and we can't wait for it. We're already talking about that event today.
I want you to say something. I want you to read what Melissa said about her whiteboard, about not every day is perfect, but it has made all the difference. Do you want to read that?
Sure. I thought this was a wonderful passage this morning. That is the perfect thing to remember. Not every day will be perfect. In fact, none of these days are perfect. They weren't designed to be. The stay-at-home order is designed to be inconvenient to everyone, but also the safest and best to keeping everyone healthy. So while we all want to feel like we're slaying the quarantine, the only thing that you're slaying is staying home. Anything you are able to accomplish on any given day beyond that is gravy. And some days, you have to learn to be okay with that. Not every day is perfect, but it has made all the difference.
Yeah, I think that's great.
Great words.
Words of wisdom.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. So going back, we're going to flip-flop here. Perfect ADHD conversation, right? So we've been eating more in than we've been eating out. And one of the things that I've noticed is that I have to be really kind of on top of what we need and what we're going to be eating, just so that I don't have to make the number of grocery store visits, right? So there has been sort of this like forced routine of, okay, what do we have? What do we need? And if we don't have like one ingredient, then we don't eat that. We eat something else that we have the ingredients in. So there's sort of a twist there too, that before we could just go down and get eggs or whatever, but now we can't do that. And there's no guarantee that they're going to be there anyway.
Yeah.
So lots of adjustment with that.
Yeah, that is for us too. We also are navigating the grocery delivery services, and we kind of have one that we're always looking out a week, and or 2 weeks when we can get the next slot. And I found that we end up with a lot more stuff than we normally would have. We have more cereal boxes than I know what to do with, because cereal seems to always be on our list, and we don't get now our cup runneth over with cereal. But again, like eggs, those are a struggle. So. Anyhow, I do want to mention this. Ellie said something that I think got me thinking too about the negative reinforcement of rituals, because I think sometimes we can take things that are ultimately damaging or sort of whittle away at us and make those rituals too. And I think we need to work on our muscles to notice when that's happening. She said, I've cut way back on my news consumption and limited myself to just the major headlines. There are many journalists doing great work right now, but I don't need to read all of it constantly, or it just makes me more anxious. So this highlights two things for me. We take our negative reinforcement routines too far. I know that when I'm at my worst, it's when I pick up my phone before I'm even out of my bed in the morning and I'm looking at the news headlines, right? It sets my day up ritually for just sort of a negative tone. And so I think, the other thing is we can actually make our shared ritual of not checking the news. That can be something we can do together, right? I can help my wife not look at the phone first thing too. Or we can look at replacing negative activities with positive ones. What are some things that we can do together in the morning that help us get out of bed and get the day started, that, turn on the right music or whatever.
You bet.
Yeah.
My daughter has a positive affirmation app. So every morning she gets a affirmation that she gets to read. Much better way to wake up.
Totally.
Than just see the news.
Absolutely. So all good stuff. Routines and rituals when everything's routine and nothing is.
Thank you for everyone who contributed in Discord too. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you, everybody, for contributing. And thank you even more for downloading and listening to this show. We appreciate your time and your attention. On behalf of Nikki Kinzer, I'm Pete Wright. We'll catch you next time right here on Taking Control, the ADHD podcast.